Hello, this is Shinru. Today we are going to look at question 1396, Design Underground System. This question we have to implement a class called Underground System that supports three methods. First is check-in. Check-in give a user ID and the station name the user is in, and it also gives a time. So check-in has all three parameters. And the second function is checkout. Checkout has user ID and the station user checkout and the time. And the third function is get average time. Get average time has a string, a start station, and a string of end station, and we have to return the average time to travel between those stations. So to solve this question, the most important thing is we want to know the conditions. So first, we have to design and a good design that helps to make our job easier, but a bad design that will make things complicated. So, for example, we have to think about exceptions. For example, a user can check in multiple times without checkout, and that doesn't mean and the time and the station name user checked in, as long as the user hasn't checked out, that means it's invalid. Therefore, to get average time, we need a total time, and to get the total time, we should do it in our checkout function instead of the check-in function. And what should we put in our checkout function, and what data structure should we use for our checkout? So in that case, we will think what do we need. So first we need an ID, obviously. So in our check-in function, we obviously need an ID and then the station name and the time. But in checkout function, do we need ID? I don't think so, because in checkout function, what we need is a path from with the same user from the check-in to checkout. So we need a path, and also we need the time, the total time, and another thing we need is the frequency that station was visited, because we need to get average time in our get average time function. Okay, so after we designed this system and we determined what data structures we are going to use to implement the class, then we can start writing code. So first, here we need in our first task is to write what object we need in general. So what we need is a check-in object. So in this check-in object, and here we can make the check-in object as empty. And another object we need is our checkout object. So let us define our checkout object as empty as well. So in our check-in method, what can we add to our empty check-in object? So from what we designed the system, we know that what we want in our check-in object is the ID, and associated with the ID we also need the station name and the time. So it's exactly the 3 parameters. So we are going to take use of all 3 parameters. So what we are going to do is in our checking object, for our ID we're going to add station name, which is the station name we passed in as a parameter, and we also need the time, which is the t we passed in from the parameter as well. So here we get so every time when user check in, we store the user information inside our check-in object, and that's all it is for our check-in. And for checkout, what do we need? As what we designed, we decide to put the pass as our keys, and associated with pass we decide to put our total time and also the frequency. So here we are going to put this dot. First we have to look into the ID to find out if the ID exists. So if this dot check-in objects and the ID, if this dot check-in object of the ID so here, if the check-in object doesn't exist, then the checkout is meaningless. So we will just simply continue, and if the check-in object exists, then what will we do is we will find out the start station. So the start station will be the check-in object of this ID, and another thing is the station name. So this will be our start station, and the path we're going to form is the start station plus our station name, which is the end station, and we are going to add something in between to make it look better. And so we get our path, and basically here we're going to define this path. So we're going to take a look first to look into if the path exists. So if check out objects of this path doesn't exist. So if this checkout object of the path doesn't exist, what should we do? We should create a brand new key and our result. So what should we do is we will create our key. Checkout objects will be, sorry, here I have to I have to always add this dot as I have to reference to this object. So this dot checkout object will equals to of pass of the value called total time is going to equal to the current time, and also here we're going to extract the time, extract the checking time. This dot checking object of ID and t. So we extract the checking time, and here the check and the total time will be t, the checkout time minus check-in time, and so this total time will be that if checkout object of the pass doesn't exist, if this key doesn't exist before, and the frequency will be 1. And now we look into the else condition. Else, if the checkout object exists, then what we will do is this checkout object of this pass and total time is going to plus equals to t minus check-in time, exactly like before, and this dot checkout object of the pass of frequency is going to plus plus. So as of here, this is what checkout will do. So inside this checkout object, you have know that we have get our total time and frequency. So it will be natural for us to get average time in our get average time function easily. So the main idea is that we do all the operations when user checkout instead of when user call the get average time, because most people will think we should do the calculation inside our get average time, but that is not true, because we have already stored all the data inside of our checkout object, and when the user do the checkout operation and we have finished all our calculations, so we have our total time and we have our frequency. So the get average time will be very easy to write. So what will we do here? First, we will form a pass given the start station and end station. So start station plus this symbol plus end station. So after we form the pass, we're going to look into the total time. So total time equals to this dot checkout object of pass and total time, and we are also going to get our frequency, this dot checkout object of pass and frequency, and we're going to return total time divide frequency. So as you can see, there are only 4 lines of code inside our getAverageTime, but most of the code are in the checkout function. So let's submit this solution. So there's some small error at line 16, as we just need to delete this semicolon. And there's a short arrow at here as the continue function. I don't think we need this statement as long as there's the checkout, then check-in must exist. So we don't need to calculate it. And some small arrow at here, it says cannot set property total time of undefined. Yes, because here the path doesn't exist. As here the path doesn't exist, we cannot access the path. And because we cannot access the path, we cannot set a property of a no value. So here what we can do is I will comment it out and write it in another form. Checkout object of the path. We're going to define the path altogether. So what we will do is here the total time, we're going to assign it to t minus check-in time. And the second property, the frequency, we're going to assign it to 1. As you can see, the codes I commented and the code I just write now is exactly the same code, except at that point this checkout object of the path doesn't exist. Therefore, if I try to set up the property, it will never work. It will throw an error. Now let's submit the new solution and see how it goes. As you can see, the solution passed. And here, in this commented code, we can actually leave it here because all we need to do is just change the continue to return. And this is good because if when user check out without check-in, it will just return and ignore that checkout function. And I'm pretty sure it will still work.